Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, here in Congress, the 18th Congress, we had the third technical working group on the Marawi compensation bills. The Marawi compensation bill is a little bit difficult to push because of all the negative comments from the different line agencies. Department of Finance had several negative comments, Department of Budget Management, Task Force Bangon Marawi, the Commission on Audit, DPWH. These agencies were not really favoring the approval of the Marawi compensation bills. So over the last month, we worked hard. We had 3 meetings, and each meeting lasted for about 3 to 4 hours. We were working very hard on finding ways to resolve the negative comments of the executive branch. And I think today we may have at least had one step forward, and that's through the consultation and the agreement of the different authors of the Marawi compensation bill, specifically Huki Ajong, 1st District of Lanao del Sur, Congressman Balindong, 2nd District of Lanao del Sur, and Ami Sangkopan of Amin Party List agreed to give me generally a free hand on drafting a proposed substitute bill that we can submit in the Mother Committee when Congress resumes. My target as TWG chairman is to bring the Marawi compensation bills to the Senate. So we have to win the support of the majority of the congressmen here in the 18th Congress. There are 2, or actually 3 issues that needs to be resolved in the Marawi compensation bills. One is the unconstitutionality because it violates the equal protection under the law that's stated in our constitution. And the reason there being is because the Marawi compensation bill targets Marawi city residents. And in all of the different disasters, whether man-made or natural, the national government rarely assists private individuals. The focus of the national government is on the internally displaced persons, or IDPs, not on private individuals and private property owners. And the economic managers are scared that if we provide or we approve the Marawi compensation bill, then that means because of the equal protection under the law, lahat ng mga private property owners, for example sa Taal, North Cotabato, those that were affected by the earthquake, have the right to request compensation from the national government, and that might lead to budgetary constraints. Yung second issue ng compensation bill is the creation of a compensation board. This is a little bit of an emotional issue for those that have been having a hard time working with Task Force Bangon Marawi. The position of the national government is they don't see the need for a creation of a new independent compensation board because through the administrative order of President Duterte creating Task Force Bangon Marawi, the task force has everything needed, all the powers needed to provide or deliver the objectives that are stated in the compensation bills. So it's just a duplication and an unnecessary expense on behalf of the national government. That's one negative position of the DBM and of the Department of Finance. The last issue that we need to address is appropriations. Unfortunately, in Marawi City, the Office of Civil Defense and Task Force Bangon Marawi had difficulty in assessing the damage in Marawi City because we don't have, or they couldn't find baseline data, which is, for example, tax mapping or real property assessments. For those of the resource speakers that are here, why we are discussing this, and I'd like to point out COA, is there's 30 billion or 50 billion that we have to present to the members of Congress. What if somebody asks, kailangan ba ninyo yan sa Marawi? Because the Task Force Bangon Marawi in their position paper says the post-conflict needs assessment for the housing sector is only 8.175 billion. So where did you come up with the 30 billion? Now, normally when my dealings with the Commission on Audit, the baseline data would be the assessed some sort of tax mapping or assessment of real property sa city. In the absence of that, what are we going to use? Yan ang problema dyan sa Marawi City. And from what I understand, when they did the post-conflict analysis, they came up with a different methodology using guidelines from DPWH, NHA, and supposedly in coordination with the local government units. And that's where we're at, because we need to explain to the other members of Congress that if we ask for 30 billion, it's not too much. If we cannot justify that, then we have to reduce the appropriation amount to 8.175 billion. So these are the things that we need to resolve over the break. Ideally, when we resume session on May, I can submit a proposed substitute bill to the Mother Committee, the Committee on Disaster Management, and we'll get feedback from the members of the committee if they will accept my proposed substitute bill. This affects us also in sa lalawigan ng Lanao del Norte because any lack of government assistance sa loob ng Lanao del Sur or Marawi City will eventually spill over to Lanao del Norte and to Iligan City. So kailangan magtulong-tulong tayo sa mga Maranao na kapatid namin sa Marawi City. We need to find ways and use everything in our power to restore Marawi City to what it was once before the Marawi siege. So that's an update from the 1st District of Lanao del Norte. Like, share, and subscribe!